Some mornings don't begin with sunlight. They begin with silence. A silence that holds a question. Even before your eyes open, who am I waking up as today? That question, though invisible, echoes through everything that follows. Most people never hear it. They reach for their phones, check messages, remember stress. They return without knowing to the self they wore yesterday. But you're not most people. You're here, remembering something deeper, something sacred. The truth is simple and profound. You do not receive your day. You form it with your first thought, with the first breath that re-enters the body, with the first whisper of "I am" that arises, whether you speak it or not. This isn't motivational fluff. It's vibrational law. It's Neville Goddard's teaching alive in you. Your "I am" is causal. It is the seed, the sculptor, the signal. Everything that follows bends to it. You don't wait for reality to show you who you are. You declare who you are and reality obeys. Dr. Joe Dispenza reminds us that in those first few moments after waking, when your brain floats between theta and alpha, your subconscious is wide open. The doors are unlocked. The guards are still asleep. This is not a metaphor. It's neurobiology. In those delicate minutes, your subconscious is listening, not to what you want, not to what you hope for, but to who you believe you are, to the identity you wear like skin. And that identity is never neutral. The morning doesn't ask politely, "Would you like to design today's version of you?" It assumes. It downloads. It plays the program. If you do not choose, the past will. If you do not speak, your patterns will whisper for you. That's why this moment, right now, right here with me, is sacred. Because you are about to remember that you have always had the power to direct your day from the very first inhale. Imagine your consciousness like wet cement. In the early morning, it's still soft, still warm, still ready to be imprinted. And what you place into it, whether a thought of peace or panic, power or powerlessness, hardens, sets, becomes the architecture of your experience. Most don't see this. Most walk barefoot through their mornings, leaving accidental footprints, then wonder why the ground feels so heavy. But you are awakening. And awakening means becoming intentional. So ask yourself now, gently, what am I assuming as true the moment I rise? Because your life is not shaped by effort alone. It is shaped by the state you carry, the frequency you wear in silence, the assumption you marry before the world even sees your face. And every morning this choice is reborn, sacred, soft, waiting. Let today be the day you wake into your power, not toward it. You are not becoming. You are not beginning. You are aligning with what was always yours. There's a seductive illusion many carry when they open their eyes each morning. Today is a new start. It sounds noble, clean, hopeful. But what if that hope is a trap? What if the very act of starting fresh is quietly luring you back into the same loop you've always known? Because unless your inner state has changed, your new day is simply a replay, a memory, a continuation of a vibrational script that's already been written. You may not see it at first, but it shows up in the way your shoulders rise when you think of your to-do list, in the way your breath shortens as soon as your mind starts planning. That's not a beginning. That's a resurrection of the old self, the self that waits to see what the world delivers before deciding how to feel. Neville never said to start the day by watching. He taught to start by assuming. He didn't mean hoping or pretending. He meant forming it consciously, the inner atmosphere that gives shape to your outer world. He meant that unless you wake into a chosen identity, you fall back into a remembered one. It's not weakness, it's programming. It's the nature of the mind. Psychologists call it pattern reinforcement. Your subconscious doesn't recognize a new day. It recognizes energy, emotion, belief. If yesterday ended with fear, and no new state was planted overnight, fear returns, not as punishment but as loyalty to the previous vibration. You're not starting over. You're starting again, and again, and again, until something inside you interrupts the rhythm. That interruption can be small, sacred, 3 sentences. That's all. A whispered declaration before the noise of the world arrives. A soft, intentional self-reminder of who you have chosen to be. You don't need to explain it. You don't even need to believe it fully. You just need to speak it into the silence. Speak it as if it already holds the blueprint of your becoming. Imagine waking up and letting yesterday's energy choose your clothes, your attitude, your posture, Would you hand over your body like that? Your breath? Your truth? Then why let yesterday's consciousness lead again? Today you pause. You listen. You assume, not what the world expects, but who you truly are, beneath the layers. Because this isn't about starting fresh. It's about remembering that the true beginning is never in time. It's in identity. It's in the I am you step into before your feet even touch the floor. Beware of mornings hijacked by survival mode. There is a silent war that begins the moment you open your eyes. It doesn't roar. It doesn't scream. It whispers, subtle, familiar, urgent, and it usually begins with a device lighting up beside you. Messages, news, notifications. The to-do list rushes in before your soul even remembers it has a choice. And just like that, your nervous system is hijacked. You're no longer waking, you're reacting. The body doesn't know the difference between a lion chasing you and a calendar filled with deadlines. Cortisol floods the system. Adrenaline tightens the breath. The day has started, but not with power. With performance, with pressure, with the feeling that something must be done before anything can be felt. But here's what neuroscience and spiritual wisdom agree on. The first minutes of your day are sacred. They are a vibrational womb. What you allow in imprints. What you feed your mind becomes the emotional setting of your entire system. And what most call preparing for the day is actually a deep forgetting of self, of worth, of presence. Neville's law of assumption begins long before you open your mouth. It begins in that invisible in-between space, where the world hasn't touched you yet, where you still belong to the realm of silence, where your frequency is still soft enough to shape, and in that softness lies your most potent power. Imagine it like this. You wouldn't begin a journey without knowing your destination. You wouldn't start your car without first setting the GPS. Yet how often do you begin your day without setting your emotional direction? Without affirming who is waking? Without remembering the self that holds the key to everything you're seeking? There's no need for a grand ritual. The power isn't in the complexity. It's in the consciousness. 10 minutes. 10 silent, undistracted, intention-soaked minutes. Before the phone. Before the world. Before you absorb a single vibration that isn't yours. 10 minutes to choose who you are. Not based on yesterday's evidence, but on today's assumption. Because survival mode is not just stressful. It's forgetful. It convinces you that urgency is more important than identity, that tasks are more urgent than truth. But your real task, your eternal task, is simple. Remember yourself before the world tells you who to be. And when you do, when you reclaim even a fraction of those first moments, your day doesn't just change. Your vibration shifts. Your trajectory alters. Not because you avoided stress, but because you no longer let it define your frequency. You became the one who chooses, not reacts. The one who leads, not follows. The one who wakes, not just the body, but the soul. You've probably whispered the words before. I am abundant. I am powerful. I am healed. And yet, something inside tensed. Something doubted. A quiet voice responded, but that's not true. This is where many give up. Not because the words are wrong, but because they expect immediate resonance, when what they are really facing is the gentle resistance of an old self, still clinging to survival. When Neville spoke of assumption, he did not mean theatrical belief. He meant the silent inner agreement, the vibration underneath the words. The subconscious doesn't argue with logic. It responds to familiarity. And if lack, doubt, or fear have been the dominant vibration for years, then of course, I am abundant might feel like a foreign language at first. Not because it's false, but because it hasn't been lived in yet. There is a way through, and it begins not with forcing belief, but with building bridges. Your nervous system, your emotional body, your inner child, they all need to feel safe in this new identity. So instead of declaring from a place of conflict, begin with gentle transitions. Say what you can believe now, and then allow it to evolve. I am becoming familiar with ease. I am learning to trust my abundance. I am remembering who I really am. These phrases don't diminish your power. They honor your process. They acknowledge that you are not pretending. You are practicing. You are not bypassing. You are building. And like any true transformation, the foundation must feel safe before the structure can rise. Think of it like lifting a heavy weight. You don't start with what breaks you. You start with what stretches you. Each repetition strengthens the nervous system. Each repetition teaches your cells a new rhythm. Your identity is the same. Repetition with presence is reprogramming. Not fake, not forced, just unfamiliar, until it isn't. The power of I am is not in its volume. It's in its sincerity. Whispered with alignment, it shifts realities. Spoken from anxiety, it creates resistance. The difference is not the phrase. It's the place inside you where the phrase is born. And even if at first it feels untrue, let that be okay. Let that be sacred. You are not failing. You are awakening. Because what feels fake now is only the echo of a past that no longer fits. And what feels distant today is the very self that's walking toward you. Word by word, breath by breath, assumption by assumption. Before we continue, pause with me for just a moment. If this message is resonating, if something inside you is remembering what it feels like to choose your state, not inherit it, then you'll want to check the pinned comment below. There's something waiting there that expands exactly what we're unfolding here. Not more noise, not more theory. Just a quiet next step in the same frequency. When you're ready, it's there. Now let's continue. Your identity is not a thought. It's a vibration you carry. It's easy to think that speaking words creates change, that a single phrase, uttered with enough conviction, will flip the switch and transform your life. But identity does not live in words alone. It lives in the frequency beneath them. It lives in the posture of your body, in the rhythm of your breath, in the tension or softness held in your chest. You don't become your affirmations by saying them. You become them by feeling them, living them, breathing them into your cells until they no longer sound like hope, but like memory. You can repeat, I am powerful every morning, but if your shoulders are curled inward, if your breath is shallow, if your tone is flat, the body doesn't believe it. The body listens not to the words, but to the vibration. And the vibration comes from coherence between voice, breath, movement, and presence. Neville taught that feeling is the secret, but not just emotional feeling. It's vibrational feeling, the resonance of truth when thought, word, and embodiment align. This is not a performance. It is a declaration into the nervous system, a command not shouted, but anchored. Try this. Speak while standing tall. Let your spine extend upward as if it remembers who you are. Let your breath slow, not because you're trying, but because you're trusting. Let your voice move with gravity, not heavy, but grounded. And say the words not to convince, but to confirm. This is the body's language, and this is where identity begins to stick. Imagine it like singing a single note. If you sing from the surface, it fades. If you sing from the chest, it resonates. If you sing from the bones, it echoes. That's what I am is meant to do. Echo through every layer of your being. Not just heard, felt, not just spoken, carried. So no, your identity is not a thought. It's not a mantra. It's not a sentence you say once and hope it sticks. It's the vibration you hold when no one is watching. It's how you breathe when the world is silent. It's the state you return to when the performance ends. And that state can be chosen, rehearsed, imprinted, until it becomes who you are without effort. You are not reciting power. You are remembering it. You are not fabricating truth. You are realigning with it. And every time you speak I am with presence, with movement, with feeling, the universe listens. And more importantly, you listen. The self beneath the story, the one who was always ready to believe. There's a moment, quiet and habitual, that most overlook. Standing in front of the mirror, eyes still adjusting, hair out of place, face not fully awake. And yet, in that fragile silence, something profound is happening. You are meeting your own gaze. You are seeing not just a reflection, but a frequency. And whether you know it or not, that mirror becomes your first witness of the day. But what do you say to it? Or more importantly, what do you assume through it? Most people glance at their reflection and move on. Or worse, they judge. They search for evidence of value in the lines, in the skin, in the expression. They let the mirror speak to them instead of speaking through it. But that's not what the mirror was made for. It is not a verdict. It is a portal, a sacred space where identity can be declared with eyes that no longer seek approval, but carry knowing. Neville taught that the world reflects our assumptions. The mirror is no different. It does not ask what you want to be. It reflects who you believe you are, not intellectually, but emotionally. That's why the morning mirror is not a vanity moment. It is a vibrational calibration. Eye contact changes everything. When you speak a truth while looking into your own eyes, the message travels deeper. It bypasses logic. It touches the emotional core. It tells your subconscious, this is not just a thought. This is who we are now. And that declaration, when made with sincerity and presence, begins to restructure everything. Even 60 seconds is enough, not to impress, but to embody. Stand in stillness, breathe once, and say your I am into your own gaze. Say it not to prove, but to anchor. Say it not with performance, but with presence. The words are less important than the energy you hold as you say them, because your identity doesn't need to be built. It needs to be remembered. And the mirror, when used with intention, becomes your reminder, not of how you look, but of who is looking, who is speaking, who is becoming. You calibrate your reflection not by what you see, but by what you assume into it. And when your assumption is chosen with awareness, the mirror becomes more than glass. It becomes an ally, a doorway, a space where the self-image of yesterday bows to the vibration of the now. So tomorrow morning, or perhaps even now, let the mirror know who stands before it. Let your gaze soften, not in doubt, but in knowing. Let the words rise not from your mouth, but from your center. Because in that still moment, you are not affirming to change who you are. You are simply confirming what was always true. Words spoken in stillness can be powerful, but words spoken through the body carry a deeper frequency. Most people imagine that affirmations are a mental game, a sentence repeated, a thought reinforced. But identity is not just cognitive, it is kinesthetic. It lives in the way your body moves through space, the way your feet land on the floor, the way your breath shapes your chest, the way your shoulders carry or release tension. Every movement is a message. Every gesture is an imprint. When Neville spoke of assumption, he spoke of state, not posture alone, not thoughts alone, but the entire being entering a vibration of truth. And to enter it fully, the body must be included. It's not enough to think rich. You must walk as abundance. It's not enough to say, I am confident. You must let your spine hold that sentence. You must let your steps echo that identity. Modern neuroscience supports this ancient knowing. Movement paired with language accelerates emotional embodiment. The body becomes a container for belief. The rhythm of walking, the flow of breath, the swing of arms, they all create patterns the nervous system can hold on to. It's like carving a path. Each repeated movement becomes easier, smoother, more automatic, until the body no longer waits to feel worthy. It simply knows. There's something sacred about speaking I am while in motion. It connects the mind's intention with the body's memory. Each step is a declaration. Each breath becomes a drumbeat of becoming. There is no need to perform, only to feel, to allow the rhythm of movement to carry the truth of your chosen identity deeper into the bones. You don't need a stage. You don't need silence. You just need presence. A morning walk, a gentle stretch, a series of breaths timed with words that mean something to you. Let I am rise with the inhale. Let the truth settle with the exhale. Let the vibration of your words travel through your limbs, not to force change, but to embody it. Imagine it like dancing with your future self, each movement syncing with the version of you that already exists in the quantum field. You're not pretending to be them. You're aligning with them, merging timelines, walking into memory. Because I am is not just what you say, it's how you move. It's how you hold yourself when no one is watching. It's how you return to your center, not in thought, but in rhythm. And when that rhythm is chosen with awareness, with love, with reverence, it becomes a pathway, a portal, a ritual of remembering. You are not here to chant from the mind alone. You are here to live your truth through every breath, every step, every motion. That is how identity takes root. That is how assumptions become reality. That is how the body becomes the vessel of becoming. It's easy to get lost in routines, to wake up and move through a perfectly designed checklist, hydrate, journal, meditate, affirm, visualize, all with the hope of staying in alignment, all with the intention of feeling powerful. But beneath the structure, something else can begin to grow. A quiet tightness, a subtle fear. The fear that if you don't do it right, everything will fall apart. What if the ritual itself becomes another form of survival? What if your morning routine, though sacred in intention, is actually built upon a hidden belief that without control, you are not safe? This is where spirituality can become performance, where rituals, once born from devotion, slowly turn into protection mechanisms. Instead of flowing with consciousness, you begin to manage your vibration. You try to control your emotional landscape. You monitor your thoughts with pressure, not presence. And though everything looks aligned on the outside, inside there's tension. There's striving. There's fear dressed as discipline. Neville never spoke of routines. He spoke of states, frequencies, identity. The outer ritual only matters if it activates an inner remembrance. Otherwise, it's just another mask, another performance. And the truth is, you don't need to control your mornings. You need to claim them, not with rigidity, with reverence. To claim your morning doesn't mean filling every minute, it means meeting yourself fully. Some mornings that might be breath, others, silence. Some mornings it might be movement, or tears, or laughter. The ritual is not the form. The ritual is the intention. To begin the day from within, not from the noise around you. Imagine the soil of your consciousness like earth in spring. If you grip it too tightly, it cannot breathe. If you force it to hold the same shape every day, it loses its intelligence. But if you tend to it gently, it listens. It responds. It grows with you. Let go of the idea that power must look like structure. Let go of the belief that your value is measured by how consistent your habits are. True spiritual discipline is not about control. It's about connection. It's about trusting that your vibration can rise, not because you followed a formula, but because you remembered the truth of who you are. You don't need to repeat the same ritual to stay aligned. You need to stay present enough to feel which ritual your soul is asking for today. That is freedom. That is trust. That is power unmasked. And in that presence, even the most ordinary moment becomes sacred, not because it was planned, but because you were there for it, fully, honestly, openly. And that presence is the real ritual, always, before the body rises, before the first word is spoken, before the world touches your skin. There is a moment, a fragile, often overlooked moment, where your mind says something quietly, something automatic, something habitual. That first sentence inside your head, whether whispered or unnoticed, is not just thought. It is creation. It is instruction. It is the setting of your emotional thermostat. And for many, that sentence is heavy. It might be, another day, or I'm already behind, or let's get this over with. These aren't just phrases. They are frequencies. They are the energetic invitations you send into the quantum field. And without realizing it, you begin to embody them. You move slower. You feel off. You become the very version of yourself you hope to leave behind. Neville understood the magnitude of assumption. He taught that life reflects not what you wish, but what you inwardly accept as true. And the moment you wake, your first inner sentence becomes your first assumption. Not about the world, about you, about who is waking, about what identity is re-entering the day. That is why this one moment, silent and sacred, holds immense power. It is not about affirming endlessly. It's about choosing that one thought with intention. I am choosing who I am now. Let it be quiet. Let it be honest. Let it be the first light of your inner sky. Not to perform, not to impress, but to return. The subconscious does not need volume. It needs consistency, repetition, sincerity. And when you speak a new sentence into your own field before the feet hit the floor, you plant the seed. You place coordinates. You set the tone not only for the day, but for the entire vibrational trajectory your actions will follow. It's like setting a temperature in the room before stepping into it. Everything that happens after bends to that setting, not because the world changed, but because you did. Quietly, gently, intentionally. So the next time your eyes open, pause. Not to delay the day, but to direct it. Let the first words that rise within you be not the echo of fear or fatigue, but the gentle birth of identity. Identity chosen, identity declared, identity felt. Because the sentence you speak before you rise is not just a thought, it is a mirror, and your life is listening. Stop speaking to the world. Start speaking from the end. There is a subtle trap in the way many approach affirmations. They speak them outward. They speak them as if trying to convince the world, as if saying, "Look at me. I am abundant. Look at me. I am worthy." But identity does not bloom through external persuasion. It anchors itself inward when the words you speak are not arguments, but echoes of an already claimed state. Neville never spoke of impressing others. He spoke of impressing upon the self. The law of assumption is not about performance. It is about inner confirmation. Your reality does not respond to what you shout. It responds to what you accept. It responds to what you quietly embody, even when no one is watching. So when you say, "I am," let it not be a request. Let it be a remembering, a message from the version of you that already exists, the one who has already received, already become, already aligned. Let your affirmations sound less like hope and more like memory. That's the shift. From trying to speak things into being to listening as if they are already true. From chasing the result to collapsing into the frequency. Not effort, but surrender. Not reaching, but recognizing. Imagine recording your own voice, your most grounded, knowing voice, saying, "I am already the one I used to seek." Then imagine listening to it, not to become that version, but because that version is speaking to you now. It's not fiction. It's vibration. It's timeline selection. When you speak from the end, you're not declaring something that might happen. You're aligning with something that already is. It's like receiving a letter from your future self, not written in fantasy, but in absolute resonance. And every time you repeat it with presence, with breath, with belief, you collapse the space between the imagined and the real. You live as if. You walk as if. You speak as if, until the outer world becomes a delayed mirror of your inner frequency. And that's the secret most overlook. You are not speaking to the universe hoping it listens. You are speaking from the end, because you already know it has. The last identity you forget before sleep is the first one you wear at dawn. There's a portal that opens in the quiet moments before sleep, a space where the conscious mind begins to release its grip, and the subconscious steps forward, receptive, alert, and wide open. What you carry into this space matters, because the final frequency you rest in does not disappear when you close your eyes. It travels with you, it shapes you, and more than that, it waits for you in the morning. This is not poetry. This is physiology and consciousness in dance. During REM sleep, the brain consolidates emotions, memories, and beliefs. It weaves them into the architecture of your being, which means that your final assumptions before surrendering to rest are not fleeting. They are foundational. They are the blueprint that the morning follows. And yet most fall asleep in fear, in regret, in scrolling, in noise, not because they choose to, but because the day has exhausted them. And so, their identity at night is passive, reactive, often shaped by what hurt them or what they fear they'll never become. Then morning arrives, and they wake into the same frequency, unsure why it all feels so familiar, so heavy, so unchanged. Neville spoke often of assumption before sleep. He called it the most fertile soil for creation. Why? Because the subconscious is most alive in that liminal space. And if your final thoughts are born of alignment, trust, and knowing, then your waking self steps into a path already prepared. This is why alignment must stretch beyond the daylight hours, not as a burden, but as a rhythm, a sacred rhythm of identity that begins with your last thought at night and continues with your first breath at dawn. Let them match. Let the final "I am" before sleep echo the one you whisper as the light returns. Let them become a bridge, a spiritual lock clicking into place on both ends of your rest. Not forced, not performed, but gently felt, quietly chosen. I am safe. I am already aligned. I am becoming what I've already seen within. Let those be the lullabies that rock you to sleep, because when the body surrenders, the mind listens, and what it hears in those final moments becomes the melody your soul dances to the moment you wake. So remember this: identity is not something you put on in the morning. It is something you carry through the night. And when you honor both ends, sleep and waking, with the same vibration, you become a living affirmation, a being not hoping for transformation but resting in it. And in that rest, everything begins to shift, quietly, naturally, Inevitably. Wake up into who you already are, not who you forgot to be. Your first breath isn't just a beginning, it's a return to the self you planted in silence the night before. Neville's truth remains. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not later, now, because your identity isn't built in motion, it's chosen in stillness. In those first 10 minutes, you are either reliving the past or reclaiming your power. Let your I am be a remembering, not a reaching. Let it rise without effort, like breath returning to the body. You're not becoming someone new. You're simply waking up as the self you already are. If this spoke to something within you, the pinned comment holds a door you're meant to notice. Let curiosity lead you.